Welcome, Wastelanders, to episode 17 of the PIPCAST 3000. I didn't even come up with any cool adjectives to describe how amazing and or regular this normal...
Fandabby-dubulous.
Fandabby-dubulous. Thank you. I'm Caedo Genesis, hi. And this is BADCompanySarge.
Hi.
That was a mess. And welcome, Wasteland Legend SVEN.
Hi.
SVEN, before we get started, can you tell people who the heck you are, besides a legend? You know.
I have been there at the beginning of time. Oh no, wait. Actually, I am a friend of Caedo, and I met Caedo on his channel, and I made stupid jokes based on MacGyver. Good times, good times. But yeah, that's how I got here. That's why I'm still here.
And he's taken part, kind of, in the XCOM live streams and episodes and stuff like that. That's kind of like around the time when I did my very first Let's Play, right?
Yes.
You were there since basically the beginning. That's what you were referring to since like the beginning of time, kind of, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, Sven's here. Whoa. And I guess we can talk about the topic of the day, which is something useful and important.
Yes, the tip of the day is something very useful.
I was gonna let you.
Oh, okay, we both let each other into it. Cool. Flawless. Flawless. If you're having a difficult fight, then just cripple the legs.
Yeah.
This is something I've been doing a lot in 76, because there's a shotgun perk designed to cripple legs, and you just, especially in Fallout games where you can VATS target legs, just blast legs away. Mm-hmm. Most enemies will be rendered either far less dangerous or completely useless. Like crippling a deathclaw in the legs has been fun since the beginning of time.
Is it called the kneecapper?
Yeah.
The perk?
The perk's called Enforcer.
Yeah.
But I've got currently an explosive combat shotgun with Enforcer maxed out, and the amount of huge creatures which I just bring to the knees is... oh, it's beautiful. Shotguns in 76 don't even deal that much damage. They're basically just for crippling stuff.
No, they don't. I will mention, though, that Mire Alert Queens are actually much harder to hit if you're melee when they're crippled. Because you still have to go to their center of gravity, even though their entire body is on the ground.
Yeah.
So you have to go to where their legs come out of their body to actually hit them. It's even though their head's freaking huge. Anyway, crippling legs is good. In Fallout 1 and 2, there's actually something with the enemy AI. I don't think it was fully intentional, but if they have anything crippled on them, they choose to run away, at least the humans. So if you cripple the legs or eyes or whatever of any humans, they will just start running away. And you ideally want to cripple the legs so you can actually catch up to them and kill them if you're melee, or just let your party member with a sniper rifle take them out or something.
Yeah, if they're running with crippled legs, and it's not really called running, it's just like walking.
Yeah, they have an AP penalty or movement penalty in the classics too, by a lot, actually, which is really nice. But yeah, crippling legs is a very useful strategy for pretty much all the games.
Always go for the legs.
Except maybe Tactics. Tactics, it's winded, I think. I don't even know if there is a leg crippling thing. Okay, let's move on to the news. The Borderlands 3 is getting real close, less than 2 weeks away.
Oh yes.
Oh man. And Nelsar and I were talking about it yesterday. Really hyped for it. Same with Kite. And Sarge, I know you are too.
Oh yeah.
Sven?
Actually, I'm not really that hyped about it.
No?
Kinda... yeah, I know, it's weird. I used to love Borderlands. But...
oh my god, Sven!
I probably still pick it up, eventually. But, I don't know, it's gone a bit too silly, and the silly is at the point where I don't really enjoy it anymore. It's just being silly for the sake of being silly.
Well, that has been most commonly amplified. Those are not words that make sense, but let's just talk quickly enough that people don't notice, by the latest series of trailers that Borderlands 3 has picked out, which look like kind of, oh look, it's summertime, yeah, trailers, which then fade into insanity.
Yeah, into mayhem, perhaps.
into Mayhem, which is kind of the theme of them. And
Yeah.
there's a trio of trailers which were released on Friday the 30th, so just a couple of days ago, which one was about picking shampoo for your hair, another one was about just general fashion, and the third was about drinks at a party. Which,
Pool party, that's a very important detail. A pool party.
a pool party, sorry. Yeah. Which obviously don't sound very much like Borderlands, where you run around, you shoot stuff, and things explode and so on. But it's essentially what feels like a somewhat normal but slightly tongue-in-cheek trailer about what you'd expect from these things, and then it starts kind of flickering, you see a cycle instead of the models and stuff, and it's weird.
Yeah, we've linked all 3 down below if you wanna have a look. It's the same like gameplay footage, but they're using, this is probably their ad campaign that they're just uploading to their channel. You're probably gonna see it in ads on YouTube if you don't have premium or YouTube Red or whatever it's called now. But yeah, think of if you just want to describe, think of those Old Spice commercials where Terry Crews would invade other commercials. Like, he just busts in the wall with a jet ski. Yeah, it's basically that. I really enjoyed those. The Terry Crews ones. The Old Spice ones in general. Just great. So, along that same vein, I think, for promo, it always gets attention.
I always like to see an advert that's done quite well. Especially as someone who, when I watch YouTube videos, if there's a short advert before it, I'll always try and watch it. So I very quickly learn which places cannot advertise for the life of them, and which ones are really good at it.
Yeah.
And Borderlands is having a pretty good ad campaign.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, even, 76 also. Like, their ad campaign is on point despite how much flack. Well, okay.
I mean, maybe the ad campaign is doing well, but when you're actually in the community, it's difficult to see.
No, it's completely different when you're in the actual community. But the ads themselves that they put out, especially the, I think it was the live action one they did, the So Happy Together one, like, that was well done.
Yeah.
But, the game itself and its community is
The reality
totally different.
The reality is quite different.
Very, and we're going to talk about that more in a little bit. You know something you shouldn't promote?
Gambling?
Yeah!
Oh, wow.
In video games! You know more about this one, Sarge.
I do. I watched, the little Inside Gaming news thingy about it and read some more stuff about it, and my computer screen's just turned off. But NBA 2020, which is the new NBA game, which I believe is a basketball game, because those are things...
And it's not even out yet. It's in September 8th.
Not out, but there's a trailer out for it, and it basically... has the
It's
trailer
private
gone?
now.
Oh, wow. Okay, so when I was learning about this, the trailer was still out, I believe. But now the trailer's gone. Oh, wow, that's fun. But in the trailer, which you apparently just can't see anymore, there was a lot of people just, pulling slot machines in-game using pachinko machines, which are, these weird Japanese half-gambling machines. They're what they use in Japan to kind of circumnavigate gambling law over there, because you can kind of get away with it. But yeah, there was slot machines and the like, which they'll be using in NBA 2020 to get new players and all of that stuff, which you can get in those games. Because that's how the sports games work. You pay money to get a random chance to win an advantage. And that's been going on in the sports games for a long time. I'm gonna guess, but most of the people listening to this aren't heavy sports games players. You like your RPGs, your FPSs, your tactical top-down RTSs, other things with acronyms, which generally when microtransactions are put in, it gets a grr, and if there's anything loot boxy, it gets a really big grr. In sports games, the leniency on it is way bigger, so things get way worse over there.
Yeah. There's slot machines, card pack openings, and other mechanics that have been compared to casino games. This is a direct quote. The card packs have potential jackpot prizes, which obviously means more rare junk. I don't see any words here that say they tell you the odds or they tell you what you're going to get, which is the things that are legally being pushed for developers and publishers to do.
Yeah, I know the one legal thing they definitely have is if you get a physical copy of the game, it will say with like the ESRB rating, which I believe it is E for everyone, because everyone's allowed to gamble, is on top of it will say like contains in-game purchases, which is really, really vague, which is like great, because probably most of the games all of us have played for the last 10 years or so, I'd estimate like 90+% of them have some sort of in-game purchases, be it microtransactions, DLC, a soundtrack you can buy, or just something extra.
I don't know what other term contains surprise mechanics.
Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, something like this, something so overt, and this is on 2K's, and I have no doubt they're completely ignoring the rest of, essentially the rest of the world, and how they're, reacting to this exact thing.
Yeah, it's not that surprising though.
It's not very surprising, but they can't stop themselves from going all in on something that's already going to be outlawed at some point.
Yeah, but if it gets outlawed in like a couple of years, that doesn't matter, seeing as I think like FIFA Team or something earned like almost $1 billion last year from like in-game purchases. Because
it still earns money no matter what.
Yeah, and it earns so much money. Like, it is ridiculous.
Depressing news.
Boo.
Sven, have you experienced like anything kind of like this?
Well,
in the games that you play, or
not anything that immediately resembles gambling, but I have played games where the developers implemented loot boxes, which for some titles actually were a real setback for the reputation. For example, the Star Wars games, where you
definitely
it's kind of a difficult. I think it's a really difficult subject because apparently there is a lot of money to be made. People are paying for to participate in the gambling, and it's true that children should not participate. Part of that is also with a parent or guardian, which has to provide money.
Right. with permission.
The parent or guardian has to provide the money. So somewhere there is this strange leak where money can just go to the developers and it's not supervised. So then you get the question, who is to blame for this ridiculous amount of money that is being made? The developer who is cashing in, or the developer or the publisher who is cashing in, or the person who is not supervising the transaction.
I've actually I wandered into town the other day, and they've recently put up like posters saying like, oh, you can freeze and unfreeze your accounts with banks if your kids get your credit card and stuff, and I was like, oh, that's quite handy and definitely needed nowadays when this kind of stuff is about.
I guess we could add a tip. If you have kids, like, keep an eye on them and how they're spending your money. God. Kind of thing. But the biggest concern, I mean, for me personally, because I have an addictive personality.
I thought you were about to say you've got kids.
No.
It's like, well, Caedo, how would you hope them away?
People that are susceptible to that are more likely to spend money without realizing how much they're spending. I guess, it's like the one guy or whatever. There's even a reference to it in Fallout 2, because they have a bunch of casinos in Fallout 2. There's this old man that's been at a one-armed bandit for years, and just pulling the thing, waiting for that jackpot, and he's been wasting his money the whole time. And there's a great possibility that one-armed bandit's actually broken, but he's still pouring money into it because he wants that win so bad. So there's the question also of like exploitation on the developer / publisher side.
Very true.
Like, are they trying their best to take advantage of that weakness in other people, or are they just making it a quote unquote option?
You see how this is a difficult subject?
It's a super difficult subject.
It's so versatile. There are so many people involved in this that it's so hard to just come up with the right answer.
Yeah. And that's why it's such a controversial one. Like that's the primary reason, but it will make people angry too. both at the publishers and developers, and also the people that are still throwing their money. And then the ones that are like, well, just don't spend your money, vote with your wallet. But that requires everybody doing that. It's complicated, like you said, Sven. Let's talk about having meltdowns in Meltdown in Fallout 76.
Oh, that's technically a segue. Yeah,
So-
from Tuesday, there's been a new Fallout 76 raid. The previous week there was another raid, which was streamed on both Caedo and mine's channel. That's
Yes.
not how you English, but let's go with it. Yeah, we
Yours
both
is?
streamed... Yep, yours is channels. We both streamed like the first raid, and it was alright. It's like a fun-ish group activity where you go for a vault, you repair stuff, you kill lots of big enemies and so on. It was alright. It wasn't anything amazing, nothing that's going to make 76 suddenly stand out as a great game, but we did it multiple times. I probably did it like almost 10 times, I'd say, in total, and enjoyed it for the most part.
Yeah.
All alright. Second raid came out. I streamed it when it very first came out, went in, had the worst stream I've had in about a year. The raid sucks so badly.
Yeah.
Caedo has just tried to do it. Oh god. Oh god, please save us.
Just before recording this, I got all the way to the end. We need to describe like what this actually is. So
50
Vault 94
keycodes.
has three Vault 94 has three raids that it's going to cycle. As of this recording, like, I don't know if they're actually going to change it because of how horrible this one is.
I hope so.
I do too. But you go in and you activate the emergency protocols for the meltdown that's going on. Like, there's something going critical, and the vault's gonna explode, basically. So you're just like, okay. But in order to get access to the source of this problem, you need to collect 50 keycards from vault residents that have been left all around the vault. And this is over the course, it's sectioned off. So you need to collect 10, then go to the voting terminal, because oh god. The voting terminal is in the overseer's room. You need to take 10 keycards up there to vote some area to open in the vault, and then go into that area and do whatever issue is going on inside that area of the vault, unlock more areas in that area, and get more keycards, and repeat like 3 more times. And while fighting a whole bunch of enemies that thankfully have a stopping point for spawning, because that agriculture area
point?
was stupid.
I mean, when I was playing, they kept on spawning. It was
They
like
actually
a break
stop at a
between
certain
them.
point, yeah.
Okay, we had like a couple of minutes after each wave where it'd be fine, and then just a few more bloat flies or ghouls or whatever just spawned in, and it was like, oh, we gotta kill these again, then we can go back to searching. In total, you're basically just voting to open each area, and by the end of it, you need to collect 50 keycards. But it's not an exaggeration, you need 50 of these keycards, even if there's a full team, which is 4 people. That's on average like 12 and a half keycards each you need to pick up, which is just littered on like tables, shoved in a teddy bear's mouth or something stupid, and just all over the place.
Yeah, and when I think raid, I don't think scavenger hunt.
No.
And that's exactly what this is.
Yeah.
And not to mention, because the source of the radiation is going critical, the rate of radiation you're taking on is increasing over time too.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that. I wrote down the gripes I have about this. I should read off of it. But it hits like critical levels, and it's like 10. It's more than 10. It's a whole bunch of rads per second.
Yeah, I think it's like up to 50 or something ridiculous if you're not at all prepared for radiation.
Yeah, and I wore my power armor for a little bit, but like I did not have enough damage output to just kill everything with my axe. so I actually had to switch to my hazmat suit and take him out. That thankfully you can still wear your backpack with it somehow.
That's good.
But I had to switch to that and then take him out with my Deathclaw Gauntlet and said, please fix Deathclaw Gauntlet with power armor, or Power Fist with power armor. good lord. Anyway, yeah, I wrote down 40 cards initially because I thought it was 40, but yeah, it was 50 cards.
Yep.
One of the biggest problems I still have with it is the delay for everything.
Oh yeah, but there's major lag in the game right now. Like, just in general as well. I was recording a Let's Play the other day and had to give up halfway through because it was being so bad on lag. And then picked up on recording the next day where it was better but still had issues.
And here's the thing though too, like after you collect 10 cards, you could just be like, turn in 10 cards.
Yeah.
And you have to scan each individual card, and that takes upwards of a minute and a half to do.
Yeah.
So if you're playing on any other difficulty which has a timer, you're going to lose so much time just trying to scan the stupid card.
That's something else we haven't mentioned, that like on the easiest mode you don't have a timer. On the standard mode there's a timer which makes it like a little bit challenging, but if you're a good team you can generally get through, or at least that was the case on the first raid. And then on Expert it has a really strict timer which people were barely getting through on the previous raid. On this raid, I have heard nobody complete it on Expert.
It's not possible.
Okay.
I doubt it's possible.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's literally not possible. Like, I haven't even heard of someone completing it on their own on Standard with a timer. Mm-hmm. What I think is kind of the biggest kicker of it all, though, is that... Okay, I suppose spoilers ahead, but no one's going to care, really.
No, I don't think so.
The thing that's breaking and causing all the problems in the vault is a Gek, which, in the Fallout universe, is quite a big thing. And I'm trying to remember what the last Fallout game that had a Gek was. And was it
3.
Fallout? It was Fallout 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought that was the case then. So it's been what, just like Fallout 2 and Fallout 3? Were those like the only ones with a Gek?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so 76 has introduced the Gek for the third time. This is the third time the Gek has ever been in a Fallout game. And they've utterly wasted it with one of the worst Fallout experiences I have ever had in my life. It's like, this should be a huge selling point of, oh, it's the Gek, it's like the old Fallouts and stuff, here's this really cool thing, which has done some cool stuff in the game. It's made the entire Maya region, which has lots of plants. But now it's like, yeah, just scan through 50 keycards and you get to see a suitcase with some wires in it. Whoa.
That may or may not be broken.
Yeah.
It's very broken.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to mention, Sarge didn't get all the way through it. I got to the end and failed. Because by the end, it becomes an insane horde mode with another timer, obviously. And you have to protect so many targets. And repair things at the same time, and it's just a mess, especially trying to do it by yourself. I could not.
I've not heard of anyone completing it solo so far, on any difficulty thinking about it.
The delay is horrible, like that needs a fix so bad.
Yep.
And the damage registration, I was only hitting like half of my hits. I was especially with the insects, like I swung at them 3 times and hit them once. Like, it was horrible. And like obviously the terminal thing, and the loot balance. It's almost non-existent. The amount you're investing, the amount of stuff you're investing into actually doing this, and the amount of repairing you have to do, and the healing items you're using, like you have to take so much time to just prepare for this and not get anything, and have the chance of not getting anything back.
Yeah.
Or very close to nothing.
I ended up making a whole video about the loot imbalance, because it is just kind of crazy. Like, the rewards you get at the end as well, at first seem kind of cool, but the more you delve into them, the more you realise they're just on several layers of RNG, which could make them absolutely terrible, and you have to expend, like, additional resources outside of the vault in order to make something which could just be absolute garbage.
Yeah, and I don't think I watched it, but did you mention like the fact that I think it was on standard? Did we do standard and expert or just standard?
I've only completed stand on the first raid.
Okay, so did you mention the fact that we just get one legendary from the chest?
Yeah, so that's actually kind of the best reward. Which, Caedo, was there a chest at the end where you got a legendary on the second raid?
There was a chest in the final room, but it didn't have much of anything in it yet.
Okay, because I heard that you don't get a guaranteed 3-star legendary at the end of the second raid as well.
Oh.
Yeah, but at the end of the first raid, you've got a guaranteed 3-star legendary. But legendaries in Fallout 76 have a huge problem, which I made an extensive video about many months ago, where I ran the numbers. over the fact that, like, back in the day you'd kill a 3-star enemy and have about 350,000 different items that could drop.
Yeah.
Which, when you're going for like an instigating hunting rifle with 2 other effects, when it's like a 1 or 0.00002% chance of getting that item, bit annoying. Mm-hmm. And you have a similar thing at the end of a raid, where you do get a guaranteed 3-star, so it's got 3 effects, which are the best you can get, but it could be any item and pretty much any effects from a list, which would still be like about 100,000 different things, I'd estimate, which is crazy.
It's kind of absurd. Sven, your experience with legendaries is probably just Fallout 4, right?
Yeah, it's just Fallout 4.
Yeah. So add 2 more effects onto it, or add the chance for 2 more effects on each item, and then randomize those 2.
Well, also add in a ton more weapons and armor pieces.
Yeah, there is quite a bit more weapons and armor now too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's outrageous. There is some cool things that you can end up with, but you stand a better chance just going for like the survival legendaries that are actually good. If you're to get something you want, or just racking up all of your script and trying to purchase it, which like it shouldn't even have to be a system like that to begin with.
I mean, there are plenty of people in the game with like over 1,000 hours who still haven't got the equipment that they want.
There's a lot of RNG, and they need to learn how to downsize, I think.
Yeah.
Like, or at least just get rid of legendary effects that just suck. Like
Nocturnal.
Nocturnal. Oh, it's so bad.
Hold up, Sven. Was Nocturnal in Fallout 4?
I don't know, or I can't remember.
Okay, because I couldn't remember if it was in there at least. But
I think it might have been, but yeah.
I mean, the effect of Nocturnal, for anyone who doesn't know, is during the night time it increases either your armor or weapon damage, depending on if it's on a weapon or piece of armor, and during the daytime it reduces it, like less than it would normally be, to make it significantly worse. Yup.
During the day.
Yeah.
It's not, yeah.
It sucks.
I don't think anybody wants that kind of a situational weapon a lot of the time.
I had one person comment that the Nocturnal weapon that was being given away was absolutely amazing. I was a terrible person for saying it's not.
Okay, so I don't think a large majority of people...
Oh no, when I say one person, I mean there is one person out there who likes Nocturnal.
That's so great. So yeah, that's all we have. I didn't encounter many like bugs besides the ones that were just amplified with the new or if we're talking about insects, that I really had an issue with.
I had 2 amusing ones last night where I was very buggy. Whenever something popped up in the top left, which happened in like previous Fallout games as well, like radio signal uncovered, you have got this disease, you have got bloody blah, it would play like a little banjo tune as if I'd sat down at an instrument for a few seconds.
What?
Yeah, every time that came up. Which, at times as well, when like I completed an event and got a radio signal and my disease was telling me I was there, I just have constant banjo for like 30 seconds, which is great. And I also had a pair of supply crates teleporting around with me everywhere. So whenever I got to a new location, I'd just hear dun, and there'd be 2 supply crates with red smoke coming from them just behind me, which stalked me for 2 or 3 hours straight.
So essentially what the Scorch Beasts and Skyrim dragons do.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You just get followed by them. It was fun.
That's funny. Alright. Well, you know what's not funny? It's Sarge. It's
no.
Scary games.
Oh, they're funny. Everyone likes a
people
good
getting
laugh.
scared is funny.
Yeah, I find it quite funny.
That's my response to them.
Yeah, I don't have much to contribute because I'm not really a scary games guy.
Ooh, Sven, are you a scary games person?
Ooh, typically no, but I do have, I do have a few. Though scary, some of the titles I own are not considered scary, though I beg to disagree.
Oh, okay.
But
what?
For example, Fear 1, the original Fear, First Encounter Assault Recon. I find that it's scary / horror elements are very well implemented. Especially at moments you don't expect them to happen, or to throw you off track, to give you the idea that something's going to happen, and then everything's fine. Which for me is this suspense, this expecting something that's not coming.
Yeah.
So the moment you are like, I'm ready for that, and nothing happens. And on the other spectrum, I have games like Agony, which just take place in a whole other world where there's nothing relatable to, well, Earth. Which puts you in a situation where you have to figure out everything. So even something that looks like it's completely harmless may just end up killing you in a very horrible way.
So playing games with horror elements, that's not their central thing, you're more into.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, like Prey, for example, like it's got scary stuff going on in it, but I still love it.
Well, Prey has this happenings are alien, and not as an alien. They came from outer space, though they also came from outer space, but alien as in it's foreign to our perspective.
Yeah. Well, seeing as we all agree that in general we're not big horror games people, but like horror incorporated into games, let's now mention that Blair Witch and Dark Pictures Man of Medan are horror-type games, which none of us, I'm guessing, are probably going to end up playing.
Yeah. No, I had no interest in either of them. However, I don't know if it's a good sign that the Blair Witch is already 10% off.
A friend of the channel, Colby House, was paying attention to his Discord last night, and I think he was ended up watching streams or stuff for both Blair Witch and Dark Pictures Man of Medan, and nothing positive was said about them. Like, they weren't going, these are the worst games ever, but it was kind of like, there's lots of cringy dialogue in Man of Medan, and Blair Witch just looks like a walking simulator. And I think they're gonna be for very niche audiences.
It also kind of depends what you expect from such games. Because the genre is really so broad that you can't narrowly pinpoint on where you want your game to be on the spectrum of scary games.
Yeah. Well, the fact that the games you mentioned are quite different from one another and completely different from these two kind of shows the fact that horror as a genre isn't so much a thing as just a feeling. Seeing as I think Man of Medan is like Until Dawn and one of those almost a choose your own adventure game but updated for a modern, more cinematic audience. And Blair Witch is like Outlast or games like that where you wander around in kind of first person, I believe, and you've got a dog with you. Hence, I think Colby made the joke that it's a dog walking simulator.
And you can pet the dog. That's very important.
You can pet the dog. Oh, okay, I take back everything bad I said about the
And
game.
apparently it will even influence your story. At least that's what I read.
10 out of 10. Game of the year. Give it Game of the Year already.
So,
Was it... I was going to ask, was it Fear that had the adaptive type system where...
Adaptive AI?
Like it would... adaptive AI that would play on like what you would react to the most?
It reacts... Actually, it's a very stupid system. But the devs were just really smart in hiding it. The AI would look around in its squad and would determine where the cover is and where it thinks that the player is. If the player takes low cover, then the AI will try to keep the player suppressed, with each squad mate covering as the other reloads, which is already smarter than most AIs out there.
Right.
Also, if the AI notices that only one or two squad mates survived, then one might run away to the next squad, if there is one available, and actually cause them to set up a defense, like a defensive area in their surroundings, which is pretty interesting. And then they also have situational audio lines, which adds to the realism.
That's cool.
Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes, it does. When I was thinking about reactive AI, I was thinking about more of the like horror elements. I know there's a game that does it. I don't remember which game though.
Isn't it the Isaac Clarke one where it's the space dude?
I don't
feel
know.
like it might be that one, but I also can't remember the name of the game.
If anybody in the comment section knows,
Yep.
Please tell us.
The thing of saw blades that you shoot off the arms and legs and stuff, I feel like it might have been that one. But
saw blades that you shoot off the arms.
yeah, I know there was a 2-player thing on like the second or third entry in the game series where the other player would sometimes see stuff that you don't see.
Dead Space.
Dead Space. I feel like
Was
Dead
it Dead
Space had
Space?
something like that.
Oh, it could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, so if you're interested in spooky games, these two games look like they have average reviews, but it's based on the person. It's hard to play on unless you have an adaptive system, like the game that I'm thinking of, that I can't think of the name. It's hard to tell like how it would be, good or bad
Yeah.
for a person, I think.
I mean, you're
based on
probably
their own.
listening to this on YouTube right now, so if you're interested in those games, I'm sure there'll be plenty of YouTubers out there who have done like first looks and the like. You can
Yes.
watch a little bit of it, see what you think before picking them up. Always
See
best
how
thing
they
to do.
react.
Yeah. Probably with lots of screaming if they've got like the dyed spiky hair or whatever, just going ah with close-ups of the face every 5 seconds.
Yelling a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then switching to their face cam every so
Yeah.
often just to be like, I'm so scared, guys. I'm so scared.
Quick, like and subscribe so I'm not scared.
Give me super chats so I'm not scared anymore.
Yep. For every donation,
Fucking-
I'll scream. Something else that's got people screaming is WoW Classic, which has launched to a huge number of players on servers that weren't really fully prepared for them, but it's shown the good side of gamers as they've been queuing to get themselves lining up to complete quests and do other early game activities.
Ha Is that...
Perfect, Caedo, perfect.
That's my human emote. Ho ho!
Hello, fellow humans.
Yeah, so the really entertaining, I guess you see the good in people in a game space when they're actually waiting their turn to do things. That proves that they're still that excited to quote unquote play the game even though they're just sitting there waiting.
Yeah.
It's like Disneyland. But also that they have the capacity to be good to one another.
Yeah, it's like people being respectful to each other within the game. Which is nice.
Yeah.
Especially seeing as last
Yeah.
night that we had a loot ninja in 76 on a couple of events.
Oh,
Wasn't
really?
so fun. Yeah, some person with like super high level, like strong gun, which was killing the legendary enemies before anyone else could shoot. When there was like a group of 10 of us as well. There
Was it like encrypted or something?
the one where you Wendigo, the drinky
The one
one.
where you Wendigo.
Yeah.
Oh, the
I can't remember the name.
the Sons of Dane.
One Silent
Night to
Night.
Remember thing.
Or
One Violent Night.
One
There we go.
Violent Night. Yeah, that event.
The Beowulf reference.
Yeah, there was like a few
Yeah.
people who I assume I couldn't hear them, but were angrily in an area chat, and a lot of us doing thumbs down on this one person who had just gone and disintegrated the legendary Wendigo whilst we were
Wow,
all
what a-
patiently waiting.
What a d-bag.
Yep.
Awesome.
But that's not.
I'm glad they're not
well.
terribly common,
Yeah.
but man, that's stupid. So going back to the topic though, one of the great things that this article that we have linked down below, it actually shows a whole bunch of tweets from different people showing lines of players waiting for a quest objective to respawn, and it's great. Kite's been playing WoW Classic basically since it's been out. Almost the whole time, playing it with former coworkers and regulars at the card shop, and also I think Goose. Either playing with Goose or at least talking about it,
Yeah.
because they're not on the same server initially. But yeah, if you're playing WoW Classic, tell me if you're enjoying it or if those rose-colored glasses are a little too red, because I don't miss it still. There's memories that I remember that I enjoy remembering, but I don't want to go back. I have no inclination whatsoever.
That's fair enough.
But yeah, tell me what character you're playing if you're playing WoW Classic, what class or whatever. that stuff.
For the Horde!
For the Horde. Horde all day.
Sven, would you be so kind as to swear allegiance to the Horde?
For the Horde!
Yeah!
Yeah, it's good. Good. Excellent. Everybody's Horde on this side.
I've never even played the game, I just know I'd be Horde.
It's the age-old argument of why would I play a human when I am in real life?
I mean, orcs are just better. Let's just face it, people.
Yeah, true. And I like dwarves too. Dwarves are humanoid, but they're not. They're not actual humans. They have
They're stunted humans.
Stupidly large arms.
Yeah, that's the thing. Dwarves and orcs are always like super jacked, and humans, like there's a few of them which are super jacked, but they stand out because everyone else is just like, oh, I'm a normal person who's drunk beer, so they've got a bit of a gut and stuff. Nah, these are races that are naturally super jacked.
Yeah, and the dwarves they can have beer bellies and be jacked at the same time.
Yeah,
because they're like, give me some more mead, rock and stone. Play Deep Rock Galactic, everybody. All right, PAX West is going on right now in Seattle this weekend. Yeah, so things are happening. Pay attention to gaming news because there might be some cool reveals from developers and hardware people and whatever. I don't know what PAX is about.
Yeah, PAX seems... I don't want to say irrelevant because that feels cruel to say.
It's not irrelevant.
But it certainly feels like it pales in comparison to E3 and even like Gamescom and stuff. And the fact it comes after them as well... or wait, is it before or after? I mean, I guess it's both technically because time goes
Gamescom and E3, yeah. Gamescom and E3 already happened.
Yeah.
So
it's like the big news has taken place. Anything that didn't get announced at E3 that was big managed to get snatched by Gamescom. And now
or QuakeCon.
Or QuakeCon as well. Yeah, PAX feels like it's having to kind of just pick up the bits and get anything that's late or wasn't big enough to get on the other ones. Well, I've brought the mood down. Yeah.
Good job. What kind of events have you wastrels gone to? In the comments. Why don't you tell me that? Tell us those things. Because I've gone to Portland Retro Gaming Expo. That one's kind of fun to go to. And only since I've moved here I've had the opportunity to actually go to stuff like that. But if you have the opportunity, I would say go to something like that at least once to see like cool panels of like personalities or developers or whatever that you like. And also the merch game there is insane, and sometimes you can find games and things that have to do with games that you've been looking for ages at the convention center, where they have so much merch booths.
So much merch booths.
So I guess we can move on to the...
Just quickly, on the topic of merch, teespring.com/stores/Caedo's-caravan.
It's linked in the description, so you don't have to type it out.
Get your merch now.
Yep.
I have new merch up. I have 2 new mugs and 2 new shirts available for anybody who would like to take a look. And I like how the shirts actually turned out. I like the torso cutoff over the top of the Caedo Genesis name more so.
Yeah.
So
that looked pretty sweet.
Yeah. And I actually ordered one after I made it, so I can see what it looks like, along with a mug. I needed a mug that's not black, because it's hard to see. It's hard to see your tea steeping if your mug's black. I don't know if you guys realize this.
No.
Sure.
So you're now giving basically tea drinking advice.
Am I?
I think so.
Yes.
I mean, it's all going over my head.
Sarge.
What?
You're in the land of tea. What?
What you saying, mate? You saying just because I ain't drinking no tea that I ain't British?
I'm saying that you should know tea etiquette better than me.
I'm not sure if I've ever drunk tea. No, I've definitely drunk tea once. I recall one time drinking tea and one time drinking coffee. Didn't particularly enjoy either occasion.
It just blows my mind.
I mean, we've got alcohol. Once you have that, everything else just kind of...
Alright, I guess that makes sense.
Of course, drinking lots of alcohol will mess you up eventually. Something else that messes you up are diseases and ailments and the like, which you can get in the Fallout games.
Yes. Yes, that is our Fallout topic for today. I didn't have a particular direction that I wanted to go, because it was a bit of a struggle coming up with the topic for this PIPCAST for some reason.
I mean, I helped in no way whatsoever.
Yeah, I was like, is factions a fun one? But then we'd probably just circle back to the Brotherhood of Steel, and that's a pretty common subject.
I was reading about factions, and then I read that most of them were actually just wiped out by the what is it called, the Scorched Plague. So that's how we got to this
76.
subject.
Yes.
Yes. You had the suggestion of the Scorched Plague, because that is a huge what's the word?
Epidemic.
Yeah, epidemic that happened in Appalachia. We usually go with an all-encompassing, all the Fallouts kind of thing, but it definitely deserves to be mentioned because it essentially destroyed West Virginia single-handedly.
It's quite cool to see as well, because in the previous Fallout games it's always like, people are just shooting each other, or mutants torn off my leg, or whatever, and that's how entire places get leveled. But in Appalachia, even though the nukes didn't directly land on it, and it's doing alright in terms of there's tons of crops around, there's still livestock and everything, it's perfectly possible to live there. But the Scorched and the Scorched Beast showed up, and suddenly everyone just either got murdered, killed each other, or succumbed to the Scorched disease. Hence there are Scorched everywhere in that place. And it's nice to see disease being incorporated into Fallout on a mass scale, as opposed to the personal scale, which you might be more used to in the previous games.
Yeah, and part of the Fallout 76 storyline is, during the first moments, kind of, is getting inoculated. You have to, put together all of these doctor's notes and stuff like that, and figure out how to cure yourself so you don't turn into the Scorched just after leaving Vault 76. Because it's the only reason you and the other Vault dwellers are still here is because you were still in the Vault when the Scorched Plague actually hit. So you have a little more time, I guess.
You also get to see Scorched variants of creatures.
Yes.
Basically, I think there's a few things which are, in the game files, kind of immune to the Scorched disease. I'm not sure if it's ever really explicitly spoken about in the lore in the game too much.
Brahmin.
Yeah. I mean, critters in general. But you see so many different things. You see, Scorched Deathclaws and Mirelurk Queens and mongrels and whatever. It's pretty cool to see this disease, taking over the world. And I really hope they build on it as well as time goes forward.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a hive mind type situation too, which is really crazy. Because if there's a bunch of Scorched around, you hear them kind of communicating with each other. Well, just saying things out loud, but it sounds like they're communicating with each other, or communicating directly with the Scorched Beasts, either the Scorched Beast in the area or the Scorched Beast Queen, which is really cool too.
Well, when a Scorched Beast shows up, it summons Scorch to its side.
That too, yeah.
Which is pretty boss. But of course, there have been other diseases, and I'm sure everyone won't want us just talking about the Scorched Plague, even though it's probably the biggest kind of one. Because there have been more personal diseases which just affect characters.
Yeah.
Which of the games actually had proper diseases in them? Because I know 4 did, but that was more with survival mode, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, because you couldn't get diseases in... No, you could in the regular game of Fallout 4, right? Or was that just in survival mode? I get it mixed up now, because survival mode is the only way I play it now. Yeah. No, you're right. But wider spread, I think, still, is ghoulification. I consider that one of the diseases or ailments.
Well, that's basically mutation through radiation poisoning.
Through severe radiation, or severe radiation in a very short period of time. So, at least it's been described in different ways, depending on who's messing with the lore. because early on, sometimes it was just like, oh, ghouls can exist with a little bit of FEV exposure too, or ghouls can exist with just a whole bunch of radiation exposure. It was all over the place for a little bit, but now it's just become like they are more of just a sci-fi zombie type creature that is just born out of the radiation. But also that you have the ferals and the non-ferals, which is, one of those cool. Some of them are still sentient, whereas some of them will just try to murder your face. And that adds a cool dynamic. Also, since it's mostly humans just trying to survive and forming communities and stuff like that, like racism doesn't really exist except for like ghouls and mutants and things that are not human or were once human.
Yeah. It's a bit of a heavy topic, but that's something you always see, where as there's more and more groups, the groups that are inclusive, let's say, become broader.
Yeah.
So, before ghouls, sure, you can have your standard racism, but once there's suddenly a zombie, the colour of the skin of the guy next to you doesn't matter as much as the dude whose skin is falling off.
Yes, correct. So, but it adds a cool extra dynamic, I think, because you see the ghouls, desperately trying to get treated equally and not get shot on sight, depending on who they're dealing with.
Yeah.
And also some of them struggling to not turn feral too. You don't see that too terribly often, but I hope at some point we do actually see the process. We've been able to hear it on like holotapes and stuff like that. We've never seen the process of somebody going from sentient ghoul to full feral.
Yeah, that'd definitely be an interesting I'd like to see that maybe as a multi-part quest line, especially one if there's a bit of branching where there's a perfectly fine ghoul who's after more radiation for whatever reason, and if you bring them all the radiation that they want, they turn feral because it's too much. Or you can take a different route and be like, oh yeah, this barrel's totally filled with radioactive goo and it's actually got teddy bears or whatever, and then they stay fine. Bethesda, hire me already. What are you doing? Come on.
What do you think about the ghoulification, Sven? What do you like about it?
In general, I don't like it.
Oh, you don't like it?
Well, I don't like it. Is not the right word. I don't know. I've never been able to really fit it somewhere in my mind.
It just exists. It's not really. I don't know.
I also haven't given it a lot of thought what I think about ghoulification. At that point, when you see a ghoul, you just recognize it's a ghoul, and you're not going to. At least I am not going to think too much about it. It's standing there, and that's it. Maybe it's going to kill me, and maybe not.
You've just gotten kind of used to it either being, an enemy or an NPC.
Yeah.
So I was going to say on that point, with playing lots of Fallout, over time you do just go, oh yeah, it's just a ghoul, which a lot of settlements in the Wasteland will do. They'll just be like, oh yeah, that's a ghoul. That's perfectly normal. We're 100% used to this. Why would you even bring it up? But I suppose when you first play a Fallout game, and you're I suppose if you're playing an old one, you might not notice it quite so much, but especially on the new ones, or just any of the 3D ones, you're that person has half their face just dripping off. It's probably quite a sight, and quite out there. And it's the same with some of the NPCs in the game, if they haven't encountered ghouls before. There is a mission in 76, where people encounter some non-feral ghouls for the first time, because they've been in inside a reactor while surviving the bombs, and they turned into ghouls, but they weren't feral or anything. But this group hunted them down and killed them all, just they're monsters, we have to get rid of them, don't listen to what they say. Because these are people who'd been dealing with the Scorch Plague, where they'd seen people they knew and loved and cared about, all of that, turn into these big red spiky creatures and have to go for killing them.
Compared to the Scorched, because they look somewhat similar.
Yeah, it's just oh, you've gone under this hideous skin deep transition, you must be one of these evil monsters. which is quite a sad little tale. It's a great holotape in the game. Like 76, I know it gets criticised for not having like NPCs and lore and stuff, but some of the holotapes, like there's probably like half a dozen holotapes any Fallout fan should listen to because they're just amazing.
Yeah.
Maybe it would even make
absolutely.
a great scary game, like we previously discussed.
Oh, Fallout horror game.
Yeah. There's horror elements in Fallout, but like it's never gone all in.
No. I mean, a game from the perspective of an early ghoul and you're being hunted down by the humans and having to survive in the wasteland would be something I'd be down for.
Anything where you're not playing as a human, like even as a DLC, would be a fun change.
I would play as the dog.
Yeah. It's a good choice too. Or playing as a mutant. A mutant fresh out of the vats, being like, "What the frick just happened? Where's my memories?" Like,
you're not going to ask the question, "Where are my memories?"
Why am I dumb?
if you can't remember them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, my memories have gone, and I sometimes go, "Where are my memories?"
Or having like fragments of memories, kind of thing. Because some mutants don't forget everything, and some retain most of what they remember, depending on how much radiation they'd taken on before they were dipped. Yeah, it's a whole nother thing. I did include FEV on the on the list of ailments because that's just something created in a lab that definitely can be debilitating.
Yeah. Mutant goo.
In one way or another. Yeah, mutant goo. So we have, as far as I know, we have one case of cancer, which is the depressing, obviously.
Yes.
But Father, or Sean, in the Institute, eventually has... No, two!
Oh, go on.
Because Caesar.
Yeah, I was about
Caesar
to
has
say,
a tumor.
Kaiser's got the brain tumor.
Yeah. So there's two situations that come to mind. And those are... With Caesar, it's curable if you repair the autodoc.
Yeah.
And or do it yourself.
Yeah.
I can't remember if you can do it yourself, but you can actually repair the autodoc and make it faulty. Yeah. And then the leader of Praetorians can you can talk your way out of him blaming you.
Or you can do my method and snipe the tumor straight out of his brain.
That works too. Yeah.
Yep. Tumor's gone. Half his skull as well, but tumor's definitely gone.
From 50 feet away.
Yeah.
Blam! Okay, I'm leaving.
I will take my doctor's fee now. Thank you very much.
Look, I cured your leader. That's funny. But yeah, but in Sean's case, it's an incurable form of cancer. I don't remember if it was even referenced what form he had. Was it?
I don't think so. He talked a lot about all of the scientists in the Institute not being able to solve it, and they've done all this stuff, which is pretty crazy.
I thought it was
super high tech.
I thought it was a dumb plot device because they have the best technology for even prolonging life.
Seeing as Kellogg lives for hundreds of years or something ridiculous.
God. Yeah. Kellogg is a fun, interesting character too.
Yeah, if only we didn't
I feel like he was
brains
wasted.
out.
Yeah, I feel like he was wasted. I'm looking at Sean in Fallout 4 just to see. It's later revealed that Sean has a very aggressive form of cancer, and one of the endings is a sole survivor to take Sean's place as the director of the Institute upon his death, which was his primary wish all along. That's the only instance of cancer in that description.
Yeah, he's got the cancer.
He's got the cancer.
The bad one.
You can do about it. It's nothing. There's nothing you or the rest of the entirety of the Institute can do about it.
These people who have made complete replicas of humans just perfectly can't do a surgery to create
that
a
you
synthetic
can't differentiate
whatever he's got
from the real thing.
Yep, and all of these cybernetic augmentations
can probably use them to transplant organs from the synths into a human and be fine.
Pretty sure there was a movie about that a fair while ago.
But yeah, so we FEV can also affect animals. It was experimented on a whole bunch of different animals. That's the resulting creatures are death claws, centaurs, floaters. What else? mutant hounds,
Yep.
as of the new Fallout 4 and Fallout 76.
Yeah.
The diseases in Fallout 4 survival mode and Fallout 76. There is so many diseases you can get.
I think there's like
That
20
can be just-
in 76.
Yeah, there's a lot, but those are more, especially when you get to higher levels and stuff like that. You can get enough disease cures and antibiotics to get rid of them pretty easily.
Yeah.
If you have the correct recipes for things like I have the forest disease cure recipe, and it's so easy to gather mats for. and with the right perks, you can multiply how many you're making per set of components. So
Yeah. Diseases range from just like, oh, just pick up this flower and this other flower and some water and oh dear, all my diseases are gone, to the entire wasteland has been wiped out.
that's a lot of that's a lot of range.
Yep.
And I was going to mention too, I put heart disease in here because that's what I assume that Big Jesus Mordino has, because two of the leading crime families in New Reno and Fallout 2 both have like something visibly wrong with them. Like when you first show up, Big Jesus Mordino is sweating profusely, and if you give him any chem whatsoever, including Nuka-Cola, he will just up and die. And Boss Salvatore, if you he's seen or described as breathing out of a oxygen tank constantly, so you can either replace it with a poisonous one or just steal it from him, and he will gasp for air for like a straight minute and a half and then die.
But you wouldn't do that, right?
Well, he is actually one of the worst bosses, so
And how much does he pay?
he pays. You can actually do like all of the final missions if you do it in the proper order with all the bosses, so you can actually maximize how much, like, getting all the rewards from all of them, because they are rivals.
That's good. Do a Clint
But-
Eastwood.
However, if it's not Bishop first, he will try to kill you. Bishop is a very possessive boss. So if you're going for all four, and the Rights don't give a crap about anything, so you can just do whatever. Yeah, Mordino and Salvatore, they're major rivals, and then Bishop hates everyone, so do his first. Tell me about chems, fellas. You know about chems?
Use them responsibly, kids. I mean, it's fun and all for a while.
Don't do drugs.
In real life.
Too.
More in Fallout.
Or Fallout.
In Fallout, I highly
preferably
recommend
both.
doing drugs all the time.
You need to go to rehab.
My damage needs to be heightened a little bit. Psycho buff!
See, I just sell my drugs, because I'm a good person.
Can I mention that I love the sound effects when you take drugs in Fallout 4? Or when you take like Calmex or something, he's like, oh yeah.
They are really good. Like, voice protagonist in general in Fallout 4, kind of viewed on badly. But for the drugs, yeah, man, it's nice.
It was only viewed negatively, though, primarily because of the limited dialogue.
Yeah.
I think that was the main thing. Like, the voice acting itself was fine.
Oh, yeah.
And did exceptionally well, especially when being sarcastic.
Yeah, there is a bit of problem with role-playing I encountered quite a few times.
Yes.
Like, I think I've mentioned it before, I had a character called Rage, who's like this big, huge, muscular, heavily scarred, incredibly dark-skinned guy that wields a shish kebab, and then he goes, "Hi there!" Just, no.
Or the meanest thing he can say was like, hurry up.
Yeah, it's like, please get out of my way. No, you're supposed to tear people, you're supposed to go, move. Just be done. But,
It's supposed to intimidate.
yeah.
What's the gun hold up perk? I always forget.
Intimidation.
Is that called intimidation?
Yeah, intimidation at Charisma 10.
Isn't it pacification?
Oh.
Pacify. There you go.
Pacify.
It's pacify. Thank you, Sven.
Sometimes I know stuff.
You do.
Sometimes.
That's why we have you here.
Yay!
Because you know stuff
No,
sometimes.
it is intimidation.
The perk's called intimidation, but
Yeah.
the action is called pacify. It's weird.
Oh,
That's
weird.
not confusing at all.
No, that's perfectly.
Is it? Okay, so chem addiction is kind of a big thing in the Fallout series. Like, everybody, especially, well, not everybody, but raiders especially and even the Great Khans and stuff like that, they all use chems a lot of the time, or make chems for other people to use, or something to that effect. And it's always it always gets turned into like a rampant problem. Oh yeah, Kate has a backstory related to chem abuse too, which is, I don't think we've had a Hancock does too, but he doesn't care. But Kate, yeah, you basically essentially take her to rehab to get rid of her psycho addiction, and that's a cool aspect that doesn't get, because like when you're addicted to chems, it's like all over for you kind of thing. But at least to other people in the Wasteland, the Sole Survivor and or the Vault 76er guy, whoever you're playing as, doesn't really have a permanent problem after taking chems. But in the case of Fallout 2, I know I keep going back to it, but the creator of Jet, quote unquote, creator of Jet, it's his own words, so I'm still like iffy on believing it. Myron created Jet to be the most addictive substance in the Wasteland. So in Fallout 2, if you get addicted to Jet, you have to actually complete a quest to create a cure, because you'll not lose your addiction until that quest is complete. And I think that is kind of cool in a way.
It does
where,
pay
like,
a great attention to detail. It's
Yeah.
not just saying that, this is the most addictive drug ever, and then you take it and then nothing happened.
Yeah, no, like I don't remember the addiction rate, because they all have addiction rates too in Fallout 2. Myron is the self-proclaimed creator of Jet. He works for the Mordino family, who I had mentioned before, Big Jesus. That's their key export is Jet.
Yeah.
They supply Jet to like everybody, and they're trying their best to use Jet as a way of controlling people in Redding to gain control of the gold in the area as well, because they're not using caps in Fallout 2. They're using gold. They're using gold coins. Jet has a 50% chance of addiction. So it's a coin flip. Yeah, it's a coin flip when you use it. But yeah, you have to actually have Myron, not let him die or kill him yourself, because he is an annoying little kid. You have to gain citizenship. I'm pretty sure you have to gain citizenship into Vault City, get inside the vault, speak to the doctor, have, I believe, enough doctors or science skill to address it. And also either that or get into a speech check with Myron to be like, if there was a possibility for a cure, how would you make it? And I think the what they surmised was like immunosuppressants or something like that, because the problem is not getting rid of the addiction, it's the withdrawals afterwards that will legit kill you. So like that's what they were trying to figure out, is how to suppress the withdrawal effects. Yeah, but that in itself is kind of cool as kind of a covert like power in the Wasteland that a lot of people in the New California region were using to control other people, kind of like the Master almost. But that was more overt than covert. He's like, "Hey, what's up, community? I'ma dip ya." We're all gonna be mutants, and it's gonna be great. We're gonna live in a utopia where nobody hates anybody because we're all the same. And on paper, that actually sounds pretty cool. But the chances of, especially your whole like memory or brain being ruined, especially if you've been in the Wasteland for a little bit, is not the greatest.
Yeah, but those gains, bro.
Yeah, there's some mad gains you get for being a mutant. But since I have completed Fallout 1 recently, I have it more fresh in my mind that what the Master decided to do is anybody that was resisting are the only ones that would get killed. Whereas the ones who were like, okay, I'll go along with your plan, but obviously I'm not a pure strain human, so like, what are you gonna do? And they're like, oh, we're just gonna neuter you, so you can't procreate, and then you'll be the last of your generation.
I mean, how do they go about this neutering? There's a good way and a bad way, I'd argue.
That I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't go into that far of a detail, thankfully. But I think the way that the Master makes it sound is more humane than just straight up genocide, which makes it that kind of dilemma for the main character. I guess that's part of the reason why Fallout 1 was so good, because it makes it a dilemma for the main character, being like, hey, are you sure the master has the wrong idea? Because there's a lot of like horrible things going on in the wasteland, and those might actually be reduced if everybody was the same kind of thing. Like, or it could just be like another genocide. I don't know. Because I want to say that I guess it was against his word too. The ghouls in Necropolis got wiped out. Like they totally just killed all ghouls just because they have such a long lifespan. I think that was their main reason. Because like even canon, like Necropolis just gets wiped out. It's fun like hearing and learning about like the FEV like strategies that I guess the superpowers of the games were using. Not so much Present Eden in Fallout 3.
No.
That's just kind of a recreation a little bit with less.
I mean, it sounds like a lot of people in Power and Fallout just want to wipe out a lot of races.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're going about it on the slow process or just on the flick of a switch. They're going for the genocide option.
That sounds like, I mean, that's a civilization thing too, right?
Alexander the Great kept picking on me. I had to bomb him. We don't bring it up.
Alexander the so-so, am I right?
Yeah. Stupid Alexander. Every match I get into him, he's just like, I'm like, oh, hi there, buddy, you want to be friends? And he's like, no, I'm going to attack you once with this horseman. And I'm like, I've got a giant city and a bomber. You're still like 2 ages behind me. Die now.
That's frustrating, I'm sure.
Yeah. It messes up my diplomatic victories.
I wanted to end on like a what is your favorite kind of I hate saying favorite too. What is your favorite kind of mechanic or something implemented into the bleakness of a post-apocalypse that makes it more grounded, I guess, as a thing? Because like addiction is a big one. Like that's a huge one, like chemical addiction, stuff like that. That's why they've probably been a thing for so long. But ghoulification, like Sven was saying, it kind of just becomes a normal, like, ghouls are just like either normal people or they're,
generic enemy.
Generic enemy that you can shoot the limbs off of. So that part's fun,
Yeah.
And a little different. So I guess we could go over the final notes and stuff and talk about Sven. What have you been playing? You've been playing some games? Any games lately?
Well, I've been playing a lot of games, just nothing that we discussed.
That's perfectly alright, that's what this section is for.
Yep.
Good. Caedo, as you know, I am a fan of real-time strategy, and I still spend all my time in Supreme Commander Forged Alliance, which is older.
Tell me about this game.
Alright, so it's an RTS set in the future, and there are 3 major factions. The humans, of course, the Cyberans, which are like symbiotes between humans and artificial AI, and then there are the religious fanatics called the Aeon Illuminates. Basically, the setting is there is an infinite war going on for almost 1,000 years, and you are dropped at the end of the war, and just given a scenario, these are the units you have at your disposal, and the objective is go get them. And it is up to you to use your imagination on how to get from A to B, which provides a lot of thinking.
I'm sure.
But it's also very every single faction is also very different from each other, which really takes you into strategy. You have to strategize. This is your task force. This is what you're going to do, and that one thing over there is really something you shouldn't do.
Okay.
Because the AI will not forgive you for mistakes.
That's good to know too. Kind of like one of the games we play together sometimes.
We should do that.
Sven and I play Age of Empires 2 every so often. Yeah, and that's like our game basically.
That's our game.
There was one particular. I think it was the first time I used the standard, like the modern AI.
Yeah.
I set all of the CPUs to be modern AI, and I didn't know how fast they would steamroll me.
Us.
us. I was like, oh my god, like, how did they do it? I don't remember. Either basic, they started making basic units, but they would increase in age so incredibly rapidly that they would have cavalry units like knights and stuff like that before I even had militia or something. I that's kind of how I remember it. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then they just walked through my whole town.
Yeah.
But it seems like the AI was brought down a little bit too.
Really?
Since that first, it seems like it since that first time, or at least they don't fully ignore the other AI on the map, which, you know, in some games is a problem. StarCraft.
Yes.
I started making palisade walls just around my immediate area, and then of course, if there was resources further out, I would just make a little resource camp and a watchtower, or just a resource camp itself, and send some dudes out, and leave it at that. But yeah, that first time with the advanced modern AI, because Age of Empires 2 has gotten a lot of updates in the past couple years.
Yes, definitely.
Wait, isn't the game like 20 years old or something?
The game is very old, but it's gonna have the definitive edition, which isn't even out yet, which is going to be a full. I don't even know what it's going to be. It's going to be the full rework of like how the game looks and stuff like that. I don't even fully understand. I know I got a coupon for it though because I already own the game. The strategy games are fun. SVEN.
Yeah.
I kind of catapulted off that. Trebuchet off that top. Are you playing anything else, SVEN? Anything more modern?
As for modern, I am playing Assassin's Creed Unity. Or no, not Unity, what's it called? Odyssey, I'm sorry. Unity just slips off the tongue.
That's one of the ones that happened within the past 10 years.
I know! Are you proud of me?
I'm very proud of you. Good job.
No, I play Odyssey a lot. There's so much to do, so much to see. And even if you're not really doing anything, it's just beautiful to look at.
Pretty good.
And the sarcasm is amazing.
The sarcasm?
The sarcasm.
Nice. It's got a sarcasm mechanic. 10 out of 10.
Well, not as much. Well, not really a mechanic. Just voice lines.
Gotcha. And Sarge? Oh.
Yes, that's a very good title.
Yeah.
I played that once, I think.
Yeah, it's called Caedo Asked Me a Question as I was drinking. It's a fun game. I play it every other week.
Yep.
Oh,
I enjoyed this game.
I've been playing a lot of the games we talked about, and a lot of the games I do for work stuff. Basically, all my gaming, besides a bit of Magic the Gathering Arena, has been work stuff or stuff I've mentioned previously. However, I suppose the one interesting thing, and the jumping off point from pretty-looking games, is I've been going through a fair few different games recently, like Borderlands 2 and Dishonored 2, and a third one which I can't think of, and getting like pretty pictures in them. Because I have a PC with an NVIDIA graphics card, which means I can hit Alt F2 and I get like a photo mode for a bunch of different games. If you like taking photos and you like video games, which at least one person out there will enjoy both of, and you've got an NVIDIA card which could reduce that number down to 0, then check on NVIDIA Ansel. Just like Google it, see which games you have photo mode for, because I've been having a lot of fun taking photos in like Dishonored 2 and stuff, like more fun than actually playing the game. But I've been doing that as work-related stuff, because all my gaming is work nowadays, which is a bit weird. But actually, just this morning to wake myself up, I played some Black Ops 2, and I suck at using a controller.
Blops.
Blops. Because, I mean, I was feeling a bit Call of Duty-esque, because I watched Tony Mo a couple of days ago. He was streaming the new Modern Warfare beta, and it looks kind of fun. I was like, oh well, I didn't even realise it was Call of Duty at first when I tuned in. I was just like, oh, Tony's streaming something, let's just click on that. Gunfight game, what's this game? Some like indie thing people are doing? Oh, this looks really sweet. About 10 minutes in, it's like, oh wait, this is Call of Duty. I was happy to see that.
Is that all?
That was my ramble.
Okay. I know you've been playing a lot of fun 76 raid too, so
Ooh. Yeah. I got my hour and a half of that, and I was done.
Yeah. So Thankfully, it's been a little bit different for me. Like that 2 hours-ish wasted of my life, I will never get back, and I have come to terms with that in a very short time. I think it helps to talk about it.
Yep.
But the main thing I was playing the last 2 weeks, and Sarge definitely saw me playing it, was Metal Gear Solid 5, Ground Zeroes, and The Phantom Pain. They are so good. They're so good. And anybody who likes stealth and or action, in third person, because it is in third person mostly, if you prefer either of those game types, and strategizing, working out, adaptive enemies, which is freaking awesome, and a crazy amount of customization and really engaging story with a lot of like really heavy war-related topics and cool like spy operation type stuff. Man, that is something you should try. Because I poured a whole bunch more hours into the game, and I'm gonna look really quick. So Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, that's the prologue of The Phantom Pain. I've spent 30 hours total. Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, I've spent 252 hours. And this is still well, it's got an online mode, but I don't even bother with it. But I've played the single player for 252 hours. That's a lot of time to spend on a single player game.
It's a reasonable amount.
It's a reasonable amount, yes. But here's the crazy part. Those who haven't played it, it's an unfinished game. The Phantom Pain is an unfinished game. And it's still got, highly, I think I've mentioned this before, it's still got highly rated for what is there. And that's, I think that's something to say about
the name Kojima.
The name Kojima and the Metal Gear Solid franchise as a whole. That it still turned out so good, despite not being completely finished. It does tie off like a couple of the arcs that are going on, like the Huey and Skullface arc, which are, Huey can go freaking jump in the lake. I hate that guy. I think he's past the Dr. Lee level. I think because Dr. Lee, I hate her for different reasons than her actual character. Characters that are designed for you to hate. It's Huey is one of those victim characters who doesn't realize like how messed up he's been throughout the entire story. It's such good writing because you never see that in actual characters. They're usually like right up front with how they are, like evil wise too. But somehow they managed to make him, make you feel sorry for him at the very beginning. Until you get towards the end of the game, quote unquote the end of the game, and they're just like, Huey has done some really messed up stuff, and he doesn't believe that it was messed up. So many messed up things, like war crime messed up things, and he refuses to believe that he is anything but a victim. And it's so real. So great.
That's seriously messed up.
Yeah. So great and so horrible that he's a character that he's a character designed to be hated so well. I can gush more about Metal Gear Solid 5, but that's pretty much all I've been playing. I was playing the Borderlands 2 DLC. I want to get to the end of that before Borderlands 3 comes out. Yes. The Fight for Sanctuary.
Yep.
Thing.
Definitely finish that off.
That bad guy, his name's Hector, right?
That sounds right.
Yeah. He's kind of entertaining.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been playing that a little bit. Yeah, that's it. What have you been playing in the comment section? Those people listening still at the end of this thing, tell us why you like them, and if they have crazy evil characters that don't realize they're evil, because that's an awesome thing. I think it's an awesome thing. Bad people that don't realize they're bad. You wanna take us out?
As always, we'd like to thank all of you who have been listening. At this point, we'll tell you that there's links to the articles of everything we spoke about down in the description, if you want to follow up on those more, because it's always worth following up on these things. Get your sources from different sources and stuff. On top of that, Caedo and I both have channels. Sven, do you have anything you want to plug here?
No, I do not.
No, you can't follow Sven, so yeah.
So don't.
Yeah. I mean, you can, I suppose, see him occasionally on Caedo's Discord server.
Yeah. Tell him how cool he is in the comments. You can do that.
Yeah. That's your primary link now. As for Caedo and I have a YouTube channel, which is the same as my name, BADCompanySarge, where I cover Fallout 76, up until like a couple of weeks from now, where I'll also be covering Borderlands 3 when that comes out. But if you're a Fallout 76 player, subscribe to my channel. You don't have a choice. I also have Twitter, Patreon, all of that fun stuff, but honestly, if you're only just hearing about me now, I doubt you'll follow that stuff before seeing my YouTube channel. So Caedo, over to you.
Okay. Well, I want to plug, the merch, primarily, because I made some more, but also the Patreon, because I'm full-time. Also, Sarge is full-time, so supporting us on Patreon does help us out greatly, and you're already on my channel, so you know kind of the thing I do. I do guides and Let's Plays on Fallout and stuff like that. Stream Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I'll see you around.
Oh, I'm bouncing off of that quickly. I'm probably streaming at the time you're listening to this, if you're listening to this early on. So feel free to come over to my channel and just type the word PIPCAST in all caps. And I'll have forgotten I said this by the time tomorrow rolls around. So I'll be very confused. And you'll get to see my face being confused. Isn't that fun?
There you go. Okay. I guess I'll say thank you to Wasteland Legends Sven, even though he's here. Because he is one of the highest tier patron, including and friend. I hope you all take care of yourselves and be safe and all of that good stuff in the wasteland. See you next thing. PIPCAST. You know that was the outro. That's how you do outros, guys.
I will take notes.